right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur Chamber podcast. Today we have another episode. We're here. We're gonna do things a little bit differently this
A little
week.
different.
A little different. So we're coming in. We like to mix it up in our show. A lot of times we do have guests, but sometimes we hit topics, and sometimes we like to hear from you, our listeners, our members. And today is one of those weeks. So I got my brother, as always, my partner in crime, Mr.
Yes.
IJUST Winston McIntosh. Follow him on all social media platforms. You got myself, SOSA, Anthony Ambrose and Associates. You already know. Follow us on all social media platforms. Today, we're going to hear from you, our listeners, and we had some questions that were thrown our way.
Yeah, we like just going to chop it up, man.
We're
Do a
going to
little
chop it
something
up
different for episode 14.
through this
And
journey.
shout out to all the members of the Entrepreneur Chamber Facebook group. Peace. Peace to them all. All right. So look, I'll pick the first question, man. We don't really
Okay.
have the questions in no type of particular order.
Okay.
But we're going to kind of expand or expound on each of the questions that we have pulled out the hat per se. And the first one is, what do entrepreneurs need to know to be successful? Now, listen, there's a lot of things that entrepreneurs need to know to be successful. I'll be honest with you. One thing is learning, man. Be always willing to learn.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur, small business owner for about 5 years. Like I said, my big bro Sos, I'll let him speak for himself, but he's been in business, I think, probably 16, 17 years for you now, right, Sos?
Yeah. Something like that. About
Yeah,
something
man.
like
And
that.
he tells me all the time now, like, he's still learning. So I would say, what do entrepreneurs need to know to be successful? There's a lot of things. There's not one template to it. So I'm just going to start throwing out a few things that I think about when I think about being a successful entrepreneur. And, in order to be a good leader, you got to be a good student. So, that's one thing that I think about, being a student. Be willing to educate yourself. Be willing to build a network. Think outside the box. One of the most important keys of being of what you need to know to be a successful entrepreneur is that no man is an island. Shout out to my brother CI, one of the members of the Entrepreneur Chamber Facebook group. He always says the same thing, man. No man is an island. So building a team, building a strong team, getting people together with one goal, and you all work towards that goal. Be willing to be problem solvers. That's another thing you need to know to be a successful entrepreneur. And what is your definition of success? Like when somebody say, what is it to be a successful entrepreneur? One of the first things I like to bounce back at them, and for all the viewers and listeners, our constituents and members of the Entrepreneur Chamber, is first define your definition of success. I think that's like a vague type of thing, and anybody or somebody's definition of success certainly probably going to be different than another person's definition of success, although we may share some of the same things in common. But I'm quite sure at some point on that list of what is successful, or that definition of what is success, is going to be a little bit different from, person A to person B. So, think and be innovative, surround yourself with talented people. Um, try to be more factual based than, being highly emotional based. Be willing to identify causes and root problems, and have the wherewithal and the wit to, like my brother Sos like to say, man, solve the problem, man. Don't get stuck in one space. So, to expand on that is like, don't get stuck just on the problem. and then once you get into the solution, you're there. That's one thing I
Right.
would say. So if you're gonna get stuck anywhere, get
Yeah.
stuck in the in the
Right.
solution.
Right. Definitely get stuck in the
You know
solution.
what I mean? If you are gonna get
Yeah,
stuck somewhere, I
definitely.
would say, like my brother Sosa always says, man, be solution oriented. So, to answer that viewer, that constituent question, what do entrepreneurs need to know to be successful? Those are some of the things that I think about. And hire smart people, keep smart people around you. Like lastly, I'm gonna say about this, so says, I heard somebody say, and it was one old head. It wasn't even in business, but him and I were just somewhere, and I might have been like at like a, picking up some pizza for the family, and we both were waiting on our food. And the OG said to me, we just started kicking it. He was just
Right.
like, man, I'd rather be the dumbest person in the smartest class, than be the smartest person in the dumbest class. And you can apply that to business.
Yeah. Apply that to life. You can apply
Now,
that to life.
yeah, like, in the perfect world, I don't want to be in the dumbest class. Let that be known. But again, if there was the choice in the options, I would rather be the dumbest person in the smartest class than be the smartest person in the dumbest class, if there is such a thing, without offending anybody. But so yeah, those are some of the things I think about.
All right, and yep. All right, hey man. All right, listen, that was a dope response. Listen, I can't say nothing more too much to expand upon that. A lot of things that you
Yeah.
said, a lot of things, basically I would say also. Another member has a question. And I think I can kind of throw in that a little bit with this one. One of them is 5 skills entrepreneurs need. 5 skills. 5 skills. So I don't know if there's definitely some skills that are needed.
Mhm.
You probably need more than 5, but there are certainly some that are extremely important. Like one off top that just comes to me is communication. Like you had said earlier, I think communication is very important. Not only uh, yourself to your staff, but yourself to your clients, yourself to your vendors, yourself to basically everybody who has something that you need to keep your business functioning on a daily basis. So I would definitely say the skill, that skill is needed. Communication. The other one I would say is perseverance, man, toughness or whatever. I don't know if that's a skill, but you're gonna need it
The gut
because
check.
yes, because it's gonna be, that you're gonna have. I don't know too many. Listen, until you get to the point where you're Mark Cuban or one of these guys, you get to those levels. That's when you're at a point where until you're at those points levels, you're basically learning all the time. And I'm sure
Right.
that they would tell you that they're learning too. But you're definitely always learning about how successful you are, how good your business is going. We're all still learning because we're all still trying to keep, it's not easy keeping your business going, keep it profitable, keep making money. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Um, but over time, it does become easier.
Yeah.
I think that's real important. Another one is, uh, you know, I think you got to be a bit of a like a salesperson or
Mhm.
marketer. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You got to be somebody who's willing to talk. Somebody, you don't have to be all out crazy, but I think you have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone and you have to be willing to let people know what you're doing. The more people that know what you're doing, how you gonna have a successful business if nobody knows what you're doing. So I right, so I think that's real important. One that I struggle with that I think is real important is organization. um or because I think once you have organization, then you can create your systems. When you create your systems, you can kind of create your business. So, and I think because you can create a business, but until you get your system down, you not really have a business that can operate without your hand in
Without
it.
you. Yes.
So I think that's real important. And another one, you gotta be. I think you gotta be like almost reasonable. it's like you got to be firm, fair, reasonable, but you got to be very. I think you got to be like team orientated. I think you have to be. You have to be. If you're gonna lead, you're gonna also have to learn how to follow as well. And but you're also gonna have to learn that that this is your business, and you do have to take uh, accountability and place your will on the business. And sometimes that is going to take being things a little more uncomfortable that you may not want to do. You might have to fire somebody or something like that, but unfortunately, that's part of what that's part of the business. So it's just about these type things. So I think these are some of the skills, and there's so many more, but I think those are kind of the ones that kind of like jump out to me like right away. I don't know if what you think of any other ones on top of that? Or what you?
Nah. Only thing I would say is maybe patience. I think even in the context of what you were saying, patience was already said. It was like understood without it being said.
I got you right.
So
Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely, man. Everything you said was spot on.
Right.
And I think for the listener, or the member of the entrepreneur chamber that may have thrown that question out, got their question answered. And I think everything you said was certainly thorough. So, just going on to another question. What are top qualities of a successful entrepreneur? And we're right back to that successful again. So, again, I always want to start off by saying, what is your first define your definition of success? I think, everybody has certain amounts, or checkpoints that we're all going to agree on what success is, but at a certain level, and that level doesn't depend on your financial means, but you're going to have a different definition of success than other people, even as a business owner or entrepreneur. So if I would just pinpoint it back to qualities, I would think of like being disciplined, bro. Certainly being disciplined, being reliable, being somebody that's, like you said, willing to follow and know that you're the leader, where that's not always a comfortable space to be in.
Right.
Where you're the leader, but sometimes you got to also kind of be a good follower as well. And I'm not saying that happens all the time in business, but it does happen in business, man. And another quality is kind of being creative. You got to do a lot of creative thinking, especially when times are down. So like as far as the peaks and valleys of business, or we had Miss Sherry Jefferson, she put it feast or famine. So during the times of famine, you got to be creative and figure out other ways to generate revenue for your business. So like I'm in the janitorial business, and where revenue went down, we had to do more single deep cleans or floor jobs. But you may not have the 1 year contracts or the 2 year contracts, but when times are down, you certainly got to be creative. So I would say like, and you touched upon this, but in other words, confident, like you said, a salesman, ain't nothing. Let's put it together. So ain't nothing like a confident salesman.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Ain't nothing like a confident salesman. So those are some of the qualities that I think of. I wouldn't even say successful, even though the viewer or the person wanting to know about successful entrepreneurs. I just think these are qualities of an entrepreneur, period. Sometimes just being an entrepreneur and going out there on your own, I think that's successful. I think that's one step. Like successful is not a destination, like it's the journey.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It is. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's
Right.
the journey.
Right.
It's not a
Right.
destination.
You're
Like,
never gonna get there. Right. You're never going like. I mean, you could successful. I mean, I
yeah,
think successful. You can get to a point where you feel like you're successful, but
yes,
so I think you can. I don't know about that. Maybe because I do feel that there is a place where you can feel like you're successful,
I
but it
agree.
depends on your definition of success.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes.
because to me, I feel like I am successful already, but
Hmm.
because not because money I have or anything like that. I feel like I'm successful because I wake because my God allows me to wake up every day, with a belly full, what I mean, a roof over my head, happy every
Yeah.
day. You know what I'm saying?
Food, clothing,
Excited
and
to hit the
shelter.
day. You know what I mean? No matter even when things are tough, I still find the ability to be happy and positive. You know what I mean? To me, that's successful. You know what I mean? The fact that I can be with my family. You know what I mean? And now that through business that I have, I'm able to spend so much more time with my family and my beautiful kids. To me, that is successful. You know what
That
I'm
is
saying?
successful. That's how I look
Yeah.
at it. So I agree with you on that one. So for the member of the entrepreneur chamber, excuse me, the viewing audience, I'm just going to do that part over again.
Yeah.
For the member of the entrepreneur chamber or the viewing audience that asked that question, that was a great question, and we thank you so much. One other last thing that I will probably add to that is, having people skills, you know,
Yeah.
um, and that ties right back to what you said earlier. The salesman being able to talk to people, being able to articulate yourself,
Yeah.
and I think those are another qualities of that you need to be an entrepreneur. And like Socia said, in what your definition of a successful entrepreneur is.
Yeah. And you know what? To add to another skill, you need one thing about that one question back then.
Mhm.
You need work ethic. You need some work
Yeah.
ethic out here, man.
Mr.
A lot
Hey,
of
hey,
people don't
hey,
have no
so
work ethic.
hey, so well, let's talk about it then. You say work
We don't
ethic.
have right. You need, man. Listen, you need some work ethic. A lot of people don't have work ethic. A lot of people say that they do, but they really don't. They really don't understand what true work ethic is.
Right, right,
And true
right.
work ethic is basically going above and beyond the task that you were assigned to do. Whether that is your business or whether somebody told you what to do or as something that you have to do for yourself and your business, that
Right.
is going above and beyond.
Yeah.
So just getting to the finish line, just getting to, there was a saying one time at somebody, one of these places, somebody used to say that I love this one. I stole it, but don't run to the tape, run through the tape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really what work ethics is about. It's
That's
taking
right.
pride
That's
in
right.
what you do, and it's what you do when other people ain't around. It's what you do because this is what you do. This is how you like it, how you want it done. And I think a lot of people don't really have that. And I think that's where it gets lost. A lot of people think that, business is like a fly by night business. Hey man, I could do this. I could do this. Boom, boom. I throw this over here, put this over here,
Mm-hmm.
put this money over here, put this together over here, and now we're gonna blow up. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it might go like that. But what's gonna happen is like when you were talking about earlier about the times when when things start to go down, where them tough times come. Because trust me, most 9 times 10 they are gonna come, right? So what's gonna happen is because you didn't build that foundation, when that fall happens, those are the people that you hear about. Oh man, yeah, I had it. You were rocking. What happened? Oh yeah, I lost the business because I lost this, or I lost that contract, or I lost that, and that's the difference. Because you know what I mean. You don't have the foundation, or you jump out there and you don't jump out there because you don't have a foundation of knowing what actually is required to handle what you're taking on,
Right.
and then sometimes you jump out there too much and now suddenly you don't know and boom, now you're done.
True.
And I think that's where a lot of a lot of people fail right there.
I think to add on, it was one part that you said that really stood out to me, bro, in answering that viewer's question. Was, what are you doing when people not looking? Like
Right.
that's the main thing. Like what you doing when ain't nobody looking? Like that's really you right there. You know what I mean? Are you still going to do the right thing? Especially when it's easy to do the right thing when, you're a business owner, you got staff working for you, they're watching you, you're amongst your people and your employees. It's easy. I ain't gonna say easy, but you can see where it would be easy for someone to do the right thing. But what about when nobody's not looking? Are you still going to do the right thing? And if you are one of those that do the right thing, again, based off of your definition of success, if you keep doing that, and use that as your rock, your foundation, meaning that that's your truth, and you're always going to, do the right thing where people are not looking, then you're going to hit your markers of success. Right? You're going to be successful because that's just, and I like that because at the end of it, so it's like you still got to have your moral standings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You still got to have your moral standings. So yeah, I think that was certainly dope as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So I got another question here. All right. So
mhm.
this question actually asks, do you guys do your own podcasts and episodes? Um, Actually, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Actually, we do. We do
We
do
do.
everything from the rooter to the tutor. To
Thanks
be
for
honest
asking
with
that
you,
question too.
yes, yes,
Whoever asked it.
yes. That's actually a good question. We actually do. This whole platform was created by us. I would say I just was the driving force behind it. Really took the bull by the horn. All the video, the editing, this brother does right here. He does an excellent job with all that stuff. As far as putting the show together and all that, we have a hand in this. As far as what we put out to you, our listeners, the members. We all we do that. We do that. We're dedicated to being part of the solution, not being part of the problem. And that's really why we have this platform. It's really for that. Just to put our 2 cents in, throw our hat in the fire, and not sit on the sidelines, but go grab a helmet, and put me in, coach. And that's really
Put me in
why
the
we
game,
started
coach.
this.
Yeah, man. And I think when I think about it, this being our brainchild, like I remember us sitting down years ago, like this idea, and that's one thing about, the beautiful thing about ideas and planting seeds, because like if you continue to build with like-minded people and you water it and you provide it the proper soil and the sunlight that it needs, it's going to grow into its own organically. Because I remember us sitting down and our most, and it wasn't necessarily about the podcast, it was
Yeah,
just about how can we bring our experience and as business owners, and of course Sos had more experience than me at that time and still does, but it was just like, how can we bring our life and business experience to our community? That
yeah,
really was the driving force. It was like before we even was on a podcast tip. Like I just remember me and Sos getting together, just always building about that.
yeah. That's right.
The network. Remember that, bro? Like
Yeah,
just
that's
always
right.
building about the network and like, yo, how can we reach our people with this message? Because listen, they need to know. You know what I'm saying? And then
First
we
it
just
started from,
mhm.
listen, we're gonna have like a little class. We started like a little class or
A little
something.
class. That's
Right
right.
from the class we went out of something else. Then
Yeah.
but anyway, it all morphed to the podcast.
It all morphed to the
Um
podcast, man.
and this is an excellent way that it's an easy way. First of all, everybody is doing a podcast, but not everybody it has everything. Is doing this to try to help and empower the people.
Yeah,
And
I mean, shout out to everybody with the podcast.
yeah,
They're doing what they do, so and it's a lane out here for everybody. You know what I mean? And we got our lane, bro. You know what I mean? And our lane is basically the slogan that you came up with, man. Help empower us so we can help empower you.
that's it.
Like that's
That's it.
360 degrees to me, bro. That's what
That's
goes
it.
around
That's
comes around. I
exactly it.
love that.
Couldn't have said it no
Yeah.
better. That's exactly
Yeah.
what we're here to do. So I definitely appreciate the person who asked that.
Yeah,
But
one last thing that I want to add to that, man, because we did just partner up with, and took it to a next level with the Hustle Lab. So shout
yeah,
out to
shout
the
out to the
Hustle
Hustle
Lab.
Lab. Shout out to the
Yeah,
Hustle Lab.
yes. Shout
Kia,
out to Akia.
you already
Yes,
know
yes,
fire.
Akia Fortson Brown. That's right. And we collaborated. And even to answer that viewer's question, that's all part of it. Even the podcast thing becomes a team. And then, no one person is an island. So shout out to the Entrepreneur Chamber member
Yeah.
that asked that question. Dope, dope.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna just go on to the next question in SOS.
Okay.
And shoot, we already asked about a handful of them. Okay, I'm gonna go to this one. Um, describe yourself as an entrepreneur using only 3 words. All right, so this ought to be interesting. All
We can
right.
both take a crack at that one.
Yeah, listen. I'm gonna go what you said a little bit earlier. So I got 2 right off top. Firm but fair. All right.
Right.
So I got my 2 out of 3 right off top. Firm, fair, and passionate.
Uh, I'm gonna say thinker, dreamer, tough.
Tough as nails. Tough as nails. Hey man, listen, that you can't go wrong with that.
Yo, yeah, that's
You know
cool.
what I
Yeah, that's
mean?
cool. That was cool. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
you can't
I
go
like
wrong with
that.
that.
You can do that for day. I could do like four sets of those.
You do that like calisthenics.
You know what I'm
Do
saying?
4 sets of 3, describe yourself in 3 words. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
All right, so this one goes. So, how does one transition from a 9 to 5 to become an entrepreneur? Okay, that is an excellent question. First and foremost, I don't think first of all, if you're going to transition from 9 to 5 to entrepreneur, first of all, there's some steps you're missing. First and foremost, you're gonna go probably from 9 to 5. You're gonna probably go to self-employed. All
Yeah.
right. Then when you go to self-employed, you're gonna probably go to business owner. Then you go to business owner, you're gonna probably go to then that's when you go to entrepreneur. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because technically, we could all say we're entrepreneurs, right? And I can say I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not an entrepreneur full fledged. That's the lane I'm trying to get to. But I have been 9 to 5. I have been self-employed. I am certainly in that owner bracket right now, and dipping into the entrepreneur thing. But that's another reason why we're doing this, because we're trying to learn as well. We're trying to help ourselves, and even the day I get there, I'll probably still say I'm not there, because I still want to get to the, you'll kind of always kind of set a bar, get it, reach it, and then kind of reset the bar again. Not everybody does that. That's what works for me. Um, but I think that if you're going to transition, first and foremost, you have to first, is that what you want to do? Right? You got to first ascertain, is that what you want to do? And then after you ascertain, okay, this is what I want to do, then the next thing is you got to come up with a plan, because you're just not going to just quit your job and go become, have a start a business. So you got to have a plan in place, and that plan has to something I would suggest it has forecast 6 months out at least. Where if it fails, you got a 6 month cushion basically. And then thirdly, um, once you do that, then you got to start kind of getting your ducks in order. You got to start, kind of, this is what I need to this is what I need that. And that's kind of part of the plan. But I do think that I think the most important thing is from transition from 9 to 5 is you can do it. It can be done, but it's going to create. It's going to take a total mind shift of what you're normally thinking. You're gonna have to kind of brainwash yourself from the way you were trained to think to kind of the way that you had to think to run your business. Because business is about the value that you bring to others. When you're on a job, it's about what you can get from them and what they're getting from you, right? They're getting you, they're telling you to do a job, and they're going to compensate you for the job that they want you to do. When you're in business, it's really about everybody else. so therefore your business can grow. It's kind of like a backwards concept, but that's my 2 cents on
Hey
that.
man, but and I like that because it is the reverse engineering. Like you said, it's kind of a backwards concept because you got to reverse engineer the way you've been thinking from 9 to 5. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the hardest parts is no longer thinking like a 9 to 5er and
Yes.
being able to now think about you are the one that's going to come up with, like, if there's days off of work or a schedule or a calendar for your year, and you're determining whether it's Juneteenth, because I added Juneteenth to our
Yeah.
business being closed, and people are going to look for you for those answers, where before, as a 9 to 5, you were used to your job telling you
Yeah.
when the time off. I mean, of course, you got your major holidays,
Yeah.
but that's one thing that I think about, that now you're the one that people are coming to for all the answers.
Yeah.
Versus as a 9 to 5er, you can just always go to HR and say, I want to, what are our days off, throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I think the way you put it, bro, is like that's kind of what stood out to me. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah. 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 You want to do I mean, this first of all, this is great. Like I love the questions. And as we grow this thing, the next one, hopefully we have, we're doing it live where we have you guys do it. That would,
yes, yes,
these are the things that we're working towards, and we put it, we put it out in the atmosphere now to, so it can come into existence.
that's right.
Um, but you want to do
Yeah,
one last
yeah, yep,
question?
yep. We'll take a couple more questions. I think, like, to your point, Sos, this is interesting. This allows you guys to ask us questions because we're always, thoughtful with the questions and the guests that we bring on. And because all of the guests are different, we're always having to come up with different type of questions. And Sosa and I both always think about the members of the Entrepreneur Chamber in the Facebook group, our constituents, our friends and families, like what type of questions they would want to hear from the guests that we have. So I think for us to now be asked the questions in this format, I think this is dope. And like Sol
That's cool.
said, one day to certainly take it live. So here's a question I liked. One that we drew out the hat, man, was, what sport is business most like? And I'm gonna go with football. I'm gonna go with football, and here's why, man. And I literally got this from reading Barack Obama's book, the book that he had during his presidency or post presidency. He had put out a book about a autobiography about himself, and it was like he said, business is like football because there's attrition, there's a lot of hitting, and every now and again the hole opens up and then you run through it and you gain some yards.
Mm. I
So,
like
like,
that.
yeah, think about like
I like that. That's
football.
dope. That's dope.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you
Yeah,
think
that's a good
about
one.
like football, it may take you 18 plays just to score 7 points or 6 points. And then you still got to kick a field goal for it to be considered 7 points. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes even in football, it's about the field position. It ain't necessarily even about scoring. I might just punt just to pin my competition down within 5 yard line. He may, I don't know, go 4 and out, and then now we're essentially that closer to our goal, in
Yeah.
scoring. So, I think about that, the defense, the offense, special teams, all these different aspects about the game of football, proper tackling versus bad tackling, and, calling audibles as the quarterback, and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, special teams coaches.
Yeah.
Like, you
That's
can
right.
apply all of that to business, bro.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So, without being super long-winded, and to answer that question, to me, business is, as far as it being like a sport, I would have to go with football.
Man, I like that. I mean, I think it is definitely. You know what? I think honestly, name any team sport and
Yeah.
business is like any team sport. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right,
Because
right.
I think because first of all, if you're gonna be successful in business, you're gonna need a team. And you know, business is not boxing. You know, business is not you know, karate. You know what I mean? It's not one on one. Business is uh, you know, is many parts that you're gonna need to create that business and create and have that business flourish. So I think, you know, just like I think the business is like, so I think first of all, I think life to me, you make parallels with sports, but you know what I
With you
mean.
on that.
But business definitely, you know, when you look at, you know, the best teams, you know what I'm saying, like the best soccer teams, how they move their lines, how you know how they, you know, how they attack that half of the field, and then you know they you know what I mean, then they, you know, keep the pressure on, and then their defense, how they, you know, now all of a sudden they're being attacked, how now they form their, you know, their wall kind of to for their defense. And you know, I think like that is, you know, it's like business. I think, you know, when you the better that you can get your team, the more well oiled they can become. You know, like the you know, the New England Patriots, or the, you know, not now, but you know, historically San Antonio Spurs. You know, they're like a well oiled machine. You know, they would have been a great
What
business
was that,
because
like the 98 Yankees? It
right,
might
so
be one of
right,
the
right.
best baseball teams ever in history. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right. So I was saying, you know, like San Antonio, one of them squad, they would be like the best. They would be in a great business because they created like almost like a system. You know, when you went to San Antonio, like you knew what the culture was, you knew what everything was, so you knew what it was before you even get there. You know what's expected of you. So I
That's a
think
fact.
that you know, I think there's, you know, name a team sport and businesses like that, and show me a great team that's, you know, that has a great system, and you know they kind of create, they're there every year, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of those teams. You know what I mean? I'll show you. I could translate that, or I could you know, compare that to a great business.
Yeah.
So I think that's a dope question.
Yeah, man. You and I both. You want to just answer maybe, I don't know, one or two more questions, and
Okay.
we'll go into our
Yeah.
closing remarks.
All right. Cool. All
Which
right.
I mean, first of all, I think this was dope. So
Right.
for the next time we do this, y'all keep the questions coming. We'll pick some questions out the hat. And I think this is a good way for Sosa and I to give back to the community. So yeah, I definitely, wish that we could answer more questions, but we're going to stay within our usual time restraints. So
Yeah. 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 What? All right. So this question is, um, as an entrepreneur, what is your superpower?
yeah, I like that one.
What is your superpower?
What is your superpower?
Man, my superpower is, I think, my determination and my energy. You know what I mean? I just think my determination and my energy. Oh, and you know what? Nah, I'm gonna tell you my superpower is, damn it, think outside the box, clever.
Think outside the box.
Damn it, I'm pretty damn my cleverness there. I tell you, I find a solution. I'll tell you, I'll come, damn it, I find a solution. Damn it, that's my
Yeah,
superpower.
problem solver. Hey, listen, man, because that is a superpower, bro.
No doubt,
That's a skill set, man, being able to solve problems. You know what I
no
mean?
doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. I would have to say for me, my superpower would be understanding. The
Mm.
ability to understand, whether I agree with what I'm understanding, whether I respect with what I'm understanding, whether I like with what I'm understanding. I
Nice,
don't have to
nice.
like it, I don't have to respect it, but I think I understand it,
No
whether
doubt.
that's from, because I'm like one of those and I think you and I both, man, we're like those player coaches. Like, you know what I mean? You once played in the league, but now
Yeah, no
you're a
doubt, no
coach.
doubt,
You know
no
what I
doubt,
mean?
no doubt.
Those make some of the best coaches, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would have to go with, understanding, you
Nice.
know. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's a good superpower to have, man. So listen, I just want to just
Oh,
thank.
one last thing before we go on our closing
Go
remarks.
ahead.
I did want to answer this one, man, because I did see this
Okay.
question. And we could, it's like a
Go ahead.
twofold, but it's what do you enjoy most about entrepreneurship? And then what do you not enjoy most, or what do you dislike most about entrepreneurship?
Um, for me, what I like most is time freedom. Is having more time freedom. That's to me is the greatest thing. The time I'm able to spend with my family. That to me is, and also too is exciting just being in business, having business ventures and having different deals going down. That stuff is exciting. You know what I mean? Kind of kind of keeps the blood flowing. It keeps keep the juices flowing. It keeps um, you know the type of person I am, man. It keeps me going because I'm always looking for like the next thing. So to me, like that really thing. And then what I don't like, just the responsibility of, because now you're paying people, you're feeding people and stuff like that, and that is sometimes that then sometimes you might have to let somebody go or cut the hours or something like that. So that's what I would say is stuff that I really don't like, and also too like just you know I'm not the most organized dude, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just all the stuff that you got to do. I don't
Yeah.
like all that. Just all the laws, regulations, pay file here, got this tax, got that
Yeah,
tax.
yeah.
I don't like all that, but
It's like after leaving business, you almost could be a paralegal. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, right, right. But it's part of the game. So what can you do?
It
You got to
is. It
take it. You
is.
got to take it.
All right. Well, I would say what I enjoy most about being an entrepreneur, I just got to share your sentiment, man. It's the time. Even when it's time to get busy, or it's time not when you have downtime and you're not busy, and the flexibility of a schedule. And the hardest thing, or the thing I dislike about it most, is when you do have that time, when it ends. Like, you could take a 2 week vacation or a week vacation or whatever, but it's like as an entrepreneur, you kind of know your business can go on without you, especially if you have it set up under certain models. But it's like what I don't like about it most is that you got to go back, you got to take your ass back to work.
No doubt.
So like it all brings it back full circle to what you said, man. Once we get to certain levels, man, and we get to sit back and be the chairman of the board, even on those levels, you still gonna work, man, in some shape, form, or fashion. So it's like a double-edged sword, man. But if I have to be honest, it's about after being on vacation, having to go back to work. That would be like, the thing I dislike about the most about being an entrepreneur.
Okay, no doubt.
So
Okay, cool.
yeah, man. So thank you all the members, everybody that threw their questions, those hat questions inside the hat. We were able to pull out some dope questions today, I think so we answered
Yeah,
some questions.
yeah.
Hopefully the members, your questions got answered. Our constituents, our listeners, our viewers on YouTube, and most importantly and specifically, the members of the Entrepreneur Chamber Facebook group. You guys are our grassroots. We always love answering your questions. And I'm just going to flow right into my closing remarks if I could, Sos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this was another great episode. I know that you guys are always used to us bringing a guest on, and we have a whole list of guests coming and many, many more interesting guests that we're going to bring on the platform. But I think it's always dope when we could take a time out and just dig into the bag and pull out some questions from the novice or people who's on the fence or beginners. And some of these questions sound like they may have been from people who've been in business for a long time. And you kind of, get to see what Sos and I think about this, because one thing about us as entrepreneurs, and I want the members and all the people that watch us on YouTube, we're not just up here talking the talk, man. Like, listen, we grind every day as business owners. I've been out here grinding every day for about 6 years, and I tip my hat off to my big bro, who's one of my mentors in business, Sos, one of the co-hosts of this podcast and the venture that we're on now. So we're not only just speaking, but we're also walking too. We can walk and talk at the same time. So hopefully some of your questions, or if you did ask a question, your question was answered. And with that being said, I just turn it over to my brother Sos, and he'll cap you all up with his closing remarks.
Yeah, I just want to say that I certainly enjoy answering people's questions because listen, I have a ton of questions. I certainly ask a million questions to a billion people. So
Mhm.
when people ask me questions, I'm always willing to share, give back because I was poured into. So it's only now that I have all this extra juice, man. Got to pour it. I got to pour it out to others as well. And so I was like sharing as much as I can because it's not easy. Being in business, you need support. You need people that are willing to share advice with you. They're willing to kind of take you under the wing. They're willing to drip on you or drop some jewels on you because it's all relevant and all information is needed, wanted, and useful. So that I haven't heard any advice that's not used. Even the bad advice is useful. So I take it all, I take it all in. So anytime we could do a show like this, I'm all for it. When we're answering people's questions, because at the end of the day, we're doing this podcast for you all the listeners and you all the members. So time we can share and hear from you guys, and it's like I said, that's right. Our slogan is, man, help empower us so we can help empower you, and that's what this is all about. And in an episode like this is exactly what what's being done. So I just want to say thank you. I salute every single one of our members, our
Peace,
listeners,
y'all.
and all our constituents. And as always, we thank you. Tune in next time for another great episode of the Entrepreneur Chamber podcast. And as always, before we sign off, continue to help empower us so we can help empower you.
Peace all and be victorious. Peace.
Peace.